Good evening to everyone. On behalf of Riva Engineering College, it is a great pleasure to welcome our audience to today's session. Serving the nation since 1964, Riva Engineering College has experienced tremendous growth over the years. Our college proudly holds NBA accreditation for three branches and offers both UG and PG program on campus. Today's session is a part of our expert lecture series, an initiative by the Training and Placement Cell and REC Pedia. This series is designed to bring together industry leaders and subject matter experts to share their insights and experience, providing our students and faculty with invaluable knowledge and inspiration. The Expert Lecture Series aims to foster a culture of innovation and continuous learning on our campus. By engaging with experts from various fields, we strengthen our academic community and keep pace with the latest trends and development in the industry. The mission of the Expert Lecture Series is to provide in-depth guidance, strategic insights that prepare our students for successful careers. Through these expert-led sessions, we strive to equip our students with the tools and knowledge they need to excel in their professional journey and contribute meaningfully to their chosen fields. Today, we are privileged to have our guest, Sri Hemant Punekar Sir, CFD Expert, NSS. Now, I would like to call Saranjali for welcoming our guest. Over to you, Saranjali.
Good evening, everyone. Respected esteemed alumni, seniors, and all audience members. It is an honor to have you all here today for this special event. Today, we have a very special guest with us. It is my privilege to welcome Mr. Hemant Punekar sir, a CFD expert at NSIS. We are incredibly fortunate to have him with us today. He will be sharing his insights on the power of systems thinking, a topic that is crucial for all of us as we explore new ways to innovate and grow in our academic and professional lives. We are excited to learn from his experiences and gain valuable guidance from someone who has made significant contributions in his field. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Hemant Punekar sir. We are honored to have you here with us, sir. Over to you,
Thank
sir.
you so much, Saranjali. Now I would like to call Palak for introducing our guest. Over to you, Palak.
Thank you so much, and a very good evening to everyone. It is my great pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest for today's talk series, Mr. Hemant Punekar sir. He is not only a proud alumnus of our college, but also a distinguished expert in CFD with over 20 years of experience, particularly with ANSYS. Throughout his career, he has made significant contributions to various industries, helping solve complex engineering challenges. And today, he will be sharing his insights on a very relevant and impactful topic, the power of systems thinking. His deep expertise and experience will undoubtedly and practical applications that we can incorporate into our own work and learning. Thank you so much, sir, for joining with us today. Now, over to you, Saubhagya.
Thank you, Palak. Now I would like to call our respected guest to grace our audience with his knowledge and experience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Reva Engineering College team. Just one small correction, not an alumni of this college. I studied my engineering from the government college in Vadodara and did my master's from IIT Delhi. So, with that small correction, I'll start my presentation on the power of systems thinking. So, I have a rather short presentation and just list down all your questions if you have. We have a panel who would be able to ask me those questions at the end of this session. So we all are engineers here, right? And what do engineers do? We solve problems. So let us start solving problems, right? So I have this problem. I am an old school person. I still have an analog alarm clock with me. Probably everything is turned digital now, but nevertheless, I have this problem of an analog alarm clock which is not working. So how do we go about it? What do we do? Let's first of all open it. We don't know what's going on inside. So we opened it. We have some springs, some gears, some mechanisms there. So let us analyze it. What's going on? Take these things apart, right? And that's what analysis means. We take things, we take the parts apart and start studying them, right? And let us find out the root cause. So in this particular problem, you can see that there is this one guy who is broken. So that's the root cause of the problem. So let's replace the culprit, right? This is the guy who is causing this malfunctioning. So we replace it with a proper gear and we put it back together. We close it and look, you have the problem solved, right? So what did we do? If you look at it, how do we solve the problems? Although this is just an example, our typical way of solving problems is not very different. You know, the problem may come from any walk of life. Our approach to it is to analyze. We analyze problems. We find out the root cause, the culprit, the faulty part, right? And we remove it, replace it, and that is how we solve the problems. This is called analytical thinking. And analysis has been around for quite some time. So this is around since the Enlightenment period in the Europe, uh, when the scientists like Newton, Descartes, etc., were working on solving various problems of physics. And that's why this analytical thinking is also called Cartesian Newtonian thinking. It is a way of analyzing the problems by breaking them down into smaller parts, and it is also known as analytical thinking. Now, although this was happening in the sphere of science, the rest of the spheres of life were not, they didn't remain unaffected, okay? All of them got the taste of analytical thinking. So it spread over sociology, politics, administration, engineering, defense, healthcare, psychology, everywhere. So analysis is a powerful tool that got developed and spread over all these spheres of life. And the evidence is there in our language. The way we speak, you will see that analysis has almost become synonymous to thinking. Just consider these sentences, right? He is analyzing the problem. It's almost like he's thinking about the problem, right? While analysis is just breaking down, but thinking and analysis have become synonymous. Root cause analysis, right? We always talk about this, be it engineering, science, or the other spheres of life. Control theory. There are so many things that we don't understand, but yet we want to control, right? Also comes into our vocabulary many a times. Process and applications over principles. So you will see that many applications. For example, computer science, let's say, is a fundamental science. But you will see that information technology is a branch for engineering, while information technology is merely an application of computer science and the related knowledge, right? So we have a preference over applications and processes over the principles. Fragmentation, divide and conquer. This is also a terminology that you would hear many times because the full system that we are dealing with is too complex and it is very difficult to deal with it and the problems related to it. So you divide and look at the problems and conquer the problems. So divide and conquer, another evidence of analytical thinking. Specialization, specialization over the generalization, right? So you go to any field and you will find that there are experts, there are specialists of different kinds, right? If you go to the medicines, you'll get a specialist for gynecologist and cardiologist and whatnot. If you go to engineering, let's say if you even if you have studied mechanical engineering in the master degree, you may be a thermal and fluid sciences engineer, as I am, and you may be a production engineering specialist and all that, right? So we have this inclination towards specialization as compared to generalization, right? All this is just the evidence that the analytical thinking has taken over the full human society. And what I propose here is that analysis is necessary, but it may not be sufficient to solve all kinds of problems. Sometimes it may become a hindrance also, because you may not be able to understand the full system just by the analysis process. Let's take an example. You must have at some point of time played this game called Chinese Whisper, right? There is a circle or people are standing in a long queue or something, uh, and the one person says something in the ear of the second person and the message is passed on. And most of the time, this message, when the last person receives it, it is distorted. So I have some funny example here, and I start with something, and it goes through the full system, and the last person receives something very funny, right? So let's say this is my problem. I want to fix the Chinese whisper problem. The system is not working properly. Let's apply the analytical approach. Right? What does analytical approach say? Take the parts apart and start looking at each part, whichever is the faulty one, just replace it. Right? That's the analytical way to go about it. So let's look at each part, each person, right? Can each person in the chain speak well? Yes, they are not dumb. Can each person in the chain hear well? Yes, they are not deaf people, right? Can we replace a person here and fix the issue as we had done in the alarm clock example, alarm watch example? No, it's not possible because it's not about a person. A person has no issue at all, right? So then what's missing? What is missing is following. We are not focusing on the interactions of the parts, which is people here, right? No part has gone wrong. It is the quality of the interactions among this part has got deteriorated. So no amount of analytical thinking and approach will ever fix this problem unless we start to look at the quality of the interaction among the parts. And this way of looking at the world and life, that we not only focus on the parts but also their interactions, is called systems thinking. Let's define system thinking. I have taken reference from this book. Systems thinking is the view that systems and problem situations cannot be addressed through reducing the systems to their component parts. Right? What we did with the watch was possible because it is a rather simple system, and the problem was probably such that it could be addressed through analytical approach. But most of the systems which are complex in nature, the kind of systems now we are building, spaceships and aircrafts and cars with hundreds of thousands of parts or sometimes even more, it is not possible to just look at the parts and solve all the problems. So another way of defining it is also the uniqueness and the behavior of the system is only present when the system is together. It is not a sum of the individual components. System behavior comes about as a result of the interactions and relationships amongst the parts. In addition, systems thinking acknowledges the strong interaction between the system components and the emergent behaviors and unintended consequences that may result from these interactions. Right? So this is how the systems thinking is defined. But before we define systems thinking, shouldn't we be defining what is a system? Let's look at that. A system is an arrangement of parts or elements that together exhibit behavior or meaning that the individual constituents do not. Right? It's a very important definition. A system is an arrangement of parts or elements, all of them are interacting with each other, that together exhibit behavior or meaning that individual constituents do not. This is a definition put together by International Council on Systems Engineering in COSE. I have given the link to this website. Those who are interested in systems engineering, knowing more about system engineering, that they should visit the INCOSE website. It's a fantastic website with a lot of resources. And I was thinking, what could be the simplest example of a system? And the simplest that I could think of is an H2O molecule, right? That H2O molecule is a system made up of H2 molecule and O2 molecule. Although it possesses qualities, behaviors, attributes much different than the hydrogen and the oxygen. Right? So that's how a system is defined. You can take any system. You probably a car has 3,000 components. None of the components on its own can take you from one point to the other, but all of them together can take you from one point to the other. So the system has some behavior which none of its components has. But when they interact with each other together, they can take you from one place to the other. Even the engine can't take you, even take any part and none of them can take you. But yes, the full car can. So that's a very important quality of a system, that it possesses behavior or meaning that its individual constituents do not. I'm taking another example. So, in analytical thinking, what we are doing, we are just taking all the components apart, right? That's called analysis. You know what is the inverse of that? The inverse of that is called synthesis, which becomes very important in systems engineering. And you will also realize it from the way we speak in our day-to-day life. Just imagine how many times we say analysis and how many times we say synthesis. Analysis is probably, if we say analysis 100 times in our lives, probably we say synthesis once. That shows how deep the analytical thinking has gone into all of us. In the next slide, I am showing analysis and synthesis, both are required. I have taken 11 matchbox sticks, right, and created this image. It's a hut kind of a thing, right, roughly. Now I can take those very 11 sticks and create something else. This is a boat, right? So if you analyze both of them, they are nothing but just 11 sticks. That's it. But you synthesize this 11 sticks. You can create two different systems. Now these systems are just mental models. They are, representative of a hut and a boat, but nevertheless they are systems because this arrangement has a specific meaning to human mind, right? So we are not saying analysis is wrong. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying analysis is wrong. I'm saying analysis is an incomplete story when we come to systems thinking. We have to think through this synthesis also, how these parts come together, how do they interact, and that's very very important. Now, till this point, I have been mostly theoretical. Now, you may say that, okay, this is all mumbo jumbo. What's the use? Does it really make any sense? Does it have any real value in problem solving? So, let me show you a couple of examples in the next upcoming slides. The first example is of a Mars mission called Mars Climate Orbiter. So, this was a NASA project and it was launched in I think 1998, and somewhere in September 1999, when it was to enter the Mars atmosphere, it had certain problems, and it either was lost in the Mars atmosphere or went towards the sun or something like that happened. So when there was this analysis done that, or not analysis, I'm just too much into this word today. So when this study was done that why this happened, what came out was very interesting. The investigators attributed the failure to a measurement mismatch between the two measurement systems. Okay, so when this spacecraft was being designed, the NASA team was using SI unit system, and you all understand SI unit system. And spacecraft builder Lockheed Martin, they were using the US customary unit system, which is FPS kind of system, right? So because there was this mismatch, when this certain parts must have interacted with each other, it was like somebody was speaking Chinese and the other person was speaking English, something like that. And then the whole system did not perform as it was supposed to perform, right? So I've given also the link of Wikipedia. You can read through the details of this uh, example. But isn't this very similar to the Chinese whisper example? One subsystem talking to the other subsystem, but there is no handshake between them because the quality of the interaction between those two subsystems has deteriorated because of the different types of measurement systems they are using. And this resulted, I mean, if you don't look at the systems approach, the losses could be huge. It was of the order of 300 million plus, right? So this is one example from the space. I want to take another example from healthcare. So there was a friend of mine who had a young 2 years old boy who started to have some rashes on his feet. So red color rashes, generally known to be an overreaction or overactiveness of the immune system. That's what caused these rashes. So he, of course, went to a skin specialist with his son. And look at the word, I'm putting the specialist word in quote unquote. So of course, the modern medicine, the allopathic doctor would go about it in a certain way. They have certain ointments, and then there is some. If that doesn't work, they have a line of treatment. But the ultimate thing that they have is steroids, because what steroids do is they somehow temporarily suppress the immune system. Now, so this boy went through this treatment, and with steroids, it got cured for some time. But the moment they removed steroids, the rashes reappeared, and they were a really big problem because the boy was really young. He used to, scratch those regions. He used to get blood there and all that. It was a nasty thing for the family. So they, of course, visited, other skin specialists in Pune. but most of them followed the same line of treatment. And you know, the moment steroids were removed, the the boy had still the same problem. So they visited an Ayurvedic doctor. Now, what Ayurvedic doctor did was that he, of course, gave some Ayurvedic medicines, but he said that, you know, isn't it so that your boy likes the sweets very much? And the mother said, yes, he loves eating sweets. So the doctor said that don't give sweets to the boy, right? I mean, there are medicines, but stop giving sweets to the boy, right? And that actually fixed the problem. So of course the medicines did their job, but the thing was that the sweets that this boy was eating through the complex human system was causing this rashes. And the problem with the analytical thinking, right, the upper part, that they think that this is a problem of skin, at the most the reaction of the immune system. But what they don't know is that how eating sweets can cause the immune system to respond in a certain way. And this kind of models exist in Ayurveda. Okay, Ayurveda is much more system thinking based treatment system. So they have a technical term for that. They call it Kaphaja Pitta Dosh. So I'll not go into the details of that. Those who are interested, I'm sharing at the end of this presentation. I'll share uh, a lecture. They can go through that lecture to learn more about that. But essentially, what it means is the system level understanding of the human body, that if you eat certain kind of food, how it translate into certain type of problems. So this system thinking actually cured the problem for this boy. So what we are looking at is we need paradigm shift in our approach. So till date, what has happened is we have gone in the direction of knowledge creation. How does that happen? If we have a system, we break it into subsystems. We have subsystem, we break it into parts, and we start looking at the parts. And that creates knowledge for us. That solves certain number of problems for us. Okay. But there were other problems which may not get solved by this. That's where we need this paradigm shift, that we cannot be limited in the in our approach with the analysis alone. We have to also think of, if we have a system, in which context it exists and in which environment it functions, right? So that creates the understanding about the system. This kind of paradigm shift is needed if we want to embrace the systems thinking. This also leads us to, in engineering, what we call V model of systems engineering. So you see that, let's say we are designing a system, a complex system, then what we do is we start from the left hand side of the V. Just give me a second. We start from here on the left hand side of the V. And what we do is we look at the concept of operations. What it means is, let's say you are designing a drone for a certain kind of a delivery system. So what you do is that you first of all design what are the different concepts of operations that this drone is going to work through. For example, let's say I'm in Pune city, I'm designing a drone. So for delivery, so I know that it has to start its journey from point A and traverse through a certain path and deliver the whatever object it has at point B. Now, it can take multiple paths, right? It doesn't have to take one particular path. So that's where we are creating the understanding. We are looking at the surroundings, right? The context of use and the environment. So while traveling, it may see certain high-rise buildings, and it has to maneuver through it and not hit the building and still stay, at a certain safe distance from the building and all that. So that's how we start our system design, that we first of all define in which context, in which environment it is going to work, which is called the concept of operations. And from that flows the requirements, right? That, let's say if it has a battery and if you are designing it for a certain distance, then you need to know that for this travel, what kind of power is going to be required, whether the battery. So from that you will know that you need a certain rating of the battery, and then you add some factor of safety on top of it. So that's how the various requirements, I'm just giving an example, would come about. And the architecture, so you may have there are different types of drones, quadcopters, hexacopters, winged UAVs, etc. So you may need to decide which architecture you want to uh, start with, right? So all this is the systems thinking. You see, I mean, this UAV is not working alone, it's working in the context of other systems. So it has to be aware of those systems. And then once these requirements and architectures are chosen, you can perform the detailed design of each subsystem components, etc. And then you can implement it. You can actually assemble it, create it, and then you start to integrate it, right? And while doing this integration, you perform certain tests on the subsystems, on the full systems. You perform some validation and verification of the system, and once all that is done, you will put the whole system into the operation. So that is the V cycle of systems engineering, which actually is a sort of subset. So if you have seen the previous slide, we had drawn those two arrows, one from coming from system to going to the parts, and the other one going from the system to the environment. So this V cycle is just a representation that's coming from there. So it's a subset. System engineering, systems engineering is a subset of systems thinking. So I think that was what I wanted to introduce you to systems thinking, and a very brief introduction to systems engineering. If you want to learn more about the systems thinking and systems engineering, I want to propose certain resources here and describe them to you a little bit. First of all, there is this fantastic course available on MIT Open Courseware. It's a Fundamentals of Systems Engineering. It's a free course available. Videos are there are some, I think 8 to 10 videos. You can go through them. So it takes all in all about 10 to 12 hours. But it's a fantastic course. I myself went through it. That was my introduction to the systems engineering. There are certain videos that I would recommend. The first one is a movie called Mind Walk, and it is directed by Fridtjof and Brent Capra. So Fridtjof Capra uh, is a scientist who works in the field of quantum mechanics, and they have made this movie. It's a fantastic movie, around 1 hour 45 minutes. But you will see the power of system thinking, because it's a very simple movie. There is this old French castle or somewhere maybe in Europe, and there are three people who are just walking through this castle and talking about a variety of things. From they're talking about quantum mechanics, they are talking about poetry, they are talking about politics, they are talking about healthcare, they are talking about the spiritual knowledge, Shiva, the Nataraja. They talk about that. So it's a fantastic movie. And when we say systems thinking, right, integrated thinking, you can't cut down your world or life into just engineering, or that's too small, for the systems thinking. So as you get into this, you will need to look at life in a more holistic way, and you can't remove one topic from the other. When we were in schools or maybe in colleges, you still are, some of you are still in the colleges, for the simplicity and because of the effect of the analytical thinking over the society, the subjects were broken into so many, the body of knowledge was broken into so many different subjects. But if you see that things are interconnected, if you are taught that, first law of thermodynamics was developed, but there is a history to it. Why was it developed? And if you get into it, suddenly you'll find that from thermodynamics, you have now gone to history, right? And find out on the internet why was it developed, and you'll find that the roots actually come back to India. In 17th and 18th century, India was a big battleground, and the Europe was providing a lot of cannons to India. And once you fire the cannon, it used to get hot, and they were trying to understand why it gets so hot, because if it gets hot for some time, you cannot operate it. And in a battlefield, it matters how many times you can fire a cannon, right? If you can fire it more, there are more chances of winning. So all I'm saying is that these subjects, etc., these boundaries were created for simplicity, for young minds. They don't get much confusion for all those things. But as you grow as human beings, all these boundaries vanish if you want to look at it in a holistic way. A similar example of this video by Russell Lekoff, I'll strongly recommend this video. The title is From Mechanistic to Systemic Thinking. And he gets into the history of, the dark ages of Europe, which lasted till 10th to 11th century. When it comes to, even modern day computers, it's a 1993 video. The video quality is a bit poor, but the audio is nice. It's a 1 hour 15 minutes video. It's a very nice video, strongly recommended. As I started learning more about the systems engineering, I got interested in systems thinking, and I realized that I had my own study of Ayurveda a little bit. So I started looking for people, if there is somebody who has worked on systems thinking and Ayurveda combined, right? So I got this fantastic YouTube video. This is by Dr. Professor Rama Jayasundar. So she has a very interesting profile. She has done a PhD from Cambridge University in nuclear physics, essentially NMR technique, and then she was working in AIMS Delhi. So because NMR is a technique which is used for medical imaging purpose, so she thought that since she is working with doctors, she wanted to have some knowledge of the field of the medicine. So she took sabbatical leave, and for 6 years in Chennai, she studied the Ayurvedic medicine. So she has a very unique background, that she knows the physics, the modern physics in its complete depth, right? And at the same time, she knows the Ayurveda in its all depth. So she's able to relate both of them, and then she talks about how Ayurveda differs from the allopathy and why it matters. It's a very nice video, 1 hour long video. I'll strongly recommend it to those who are interested in it. Also, there are books. I have read a couple of them completely. I have skimmed through a couple of them, but these are fantastic books. The Fifth Discipline, I'll strongly recommend. This is by Peter Singe. And the Tao of Physics, this is again by Fritjof Capra. So he's the same guy who has made that movie. So if you watch the movie, it's okay. You can skip the book because there are so many concepts that are already discussed in the movie. So pretty much it. I just wanted to end with a shloka from Ishavasya Upanishad. It's also used for Purnahuti. So when you do some rituals, you complete the rituals with this shloka, and it essentially means, it talks about Purna, the whole, right? So it essentially says that this is Purna, complete. That is complete. That complete is taken out of this complete. But if you take complete out of the complete, complete remains complete, right? I mean, it's the infinity minus infinity kind of a shloka. So infinity minus infinity gives you infinity. So it goes like Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. So I think culturally we have the way to look at the life in a holistic way. That's why I chose this shloka to end my presentation. And with that, I'll conclude my presentation. Thanks a lot for your patience and attention. If you have any questions, I would like to take them now.
Thank you so much, sir, for guiding us and sharing your insights. Now, I would like to call Swaranjali for asking the questions. Over to you, Swaranjali. Swaranjali, are you in the meeting?
Yes, sir, because I am in the meeting. Sir, my
Please ask
question
your question.
was, uh, why is communication important in systems thinking, especially when working with teams from different fields on complex projects?
So Anjali, I think we gave that example of the Mars orbiter, right? Where the communication was broken and the whole system did not perform properly. So that's the value of communication, because and this is exactly what we are talking about, that the communication between the parts and the communication between the subsystems, if that is not proper, and communication is one way, but let's say interactions, a broader term would be interactions, if that is not proper, the whole system will malfunction. That's the risk. And that is why the communication or interactions is very, very important. Even that is important when we are designing such systems. So it's very important to have proper communication among the different teams.
Okay, sir, thank you for that answer. I have one more question that what are some common mistakes that engineers make when they don't use systems thinking, and how can they avoid them?
No, so the first of all, it's systems thinking is in the field of science and engineering is relatively new. So the first thing that we need to do is that all engineers, irrespective of their disciplines, again look at this, right? Disciplines means the analytical approach. The mechanical engineers are different from electrical engineers, right? But the real systems have, the mechanical components, electronics components. We call these systems as cyber physical systems. So I think it is important to not only become interdisciplinary but transdisciplinary in our approach. We need to learn more about the other disciplines, not only in from academicians but also from those who actually practice these things in the field. Uh, First of all, everybody should be taught some systems engineering 101 kind of course during their engineering, so that everybody is aware that we are not working in silos. We are working all together to make a system successful, right? That would be the first step. And then encourage them to work in a transdisciplinary manner, so that they have everyone has an awareness. Although you may be working in a specific area, and that's all right. As I said, that analytical approach is not wrong, it is just incomplete. But as you are working on your specific problem, you need to be cognizant that there are others who are going to consume what my part or subsystem produces, right? There are going to be these complex interactions. So everyone has to be aware of these interdependencies. I think that is how we can avoid the system failures.
Thank you so much for that answer, sir. That was all from my side. Over to you, Selvan.
Thank you, Sir Anjali. If anyone want to ask any other question, then please raise your hands. Yes, Ayush, please ask.
Good evening, sir.
Good
Uh,
evening.
Sir, during your lecture, you covered such a wide range of things from movies to Ayurveda to slokas, all while sticking
Mhm.
to the topic. How do you manage to connect such a diverse concept seamlessly?
So Ayush, I think I believe that we need to be genuinely interested in everything that happens around us. You just look at a kid, right? A child. He doesn't say that I'm going to pay attention to this and not going to pay attention to that, right? The child is just plainly attentive. He or she is interested in anything and everything that is happening around him or her, right? So if see somebody speaking in a certain way, he'll start mimicking that person. If he sees some shloka being recited in the home, he will start reciting the shloka. So all I'm saying is that being genuinely interested in what's going on around us is very important. As we grow in our lives, we somehow get this feeling from our surroundings, from education system, that don't play simply don't play cricket, focus on maths or whatnot. And I'm not saying focusing on maths is not important. It's important, but it is also equally important to focus on other parts of lives, yeah. And if you remain genuinely interested in so many things, you will start to build a much more holistic view of life. So why are you boxing yourself that you are an engineer and you can't study at least the basic concepts of medicine? You can, right? I mean, you are a logical person. You have certain training, but in science, right? So why can't you study? So that's how I think just being curious, being open to all the possibilities in life is important, rather than boxing yourself into just doing engineering. And that's also not sufficient. You are a mechanical engineer, and as I was giving you an example, you become a what thermal and fluid sciences engineer, and then there are specializations and all that. I'm not against specializations as long as you are able to see a look at the other aspects of life with an open mind. Does
Okay,
that
thank you,
answer your
sir.
question?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
If anyone want to ask any other question, then please. Okay, I think we have done with the questions, sir. So I would like to call Ayush for vote of thanks. Over to you, Ayush.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sarvagya. Good evening, everyone. As we come to the conclusion of this insightful session, it is my privilege to express gratitude on behalf of our entire community. First and foremost, I would like to extend a heartfelt and thanking as to by focusing not only on individual components but on their interaction as well. Your ability to break down intricate concepts and present them in a reliable manner has left us all with a deeper appreciation from system engineering. Thank you for sharing your invaluable knowledge with us today. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to the training and placement cells and RSC Pedia team for organizing this enriched event. Your effort in ensuring smooth exclusion and coordination are truly commendable. A special thanks to our audience, students, faculty members, and alumni who took the time to join us today. Your presence and participation make these sessions all the more engaging and impactful. Last but not least, I hope everyone leaves today with a new perspective on how system thinking can help us approach real world challenges in engineering and beyond. Thank you all once again, and we look forward to seeing you in our upcoming sessions. Have a great evening. Thank you, Sarvaj.
Thank you so much, Ayush. Thank you so much, sir, for giving your valuable time and sharing your insight with us.
My pleasure, Sarvagna, and thank you all for your patience and attention.
Sarvaj, screenshot.
Uh, please, everyone, turn on their cameras for the snapshot. Okay, thank you, Uday. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Is the live session over?
Yes, sir, it is over now.